This is Derek Harper with the Key Locations team, and today we're here to discuss tenant screening tips. Probably one of the most important parts of property management is screening and getting a good tenant in your property so that they pay their rent on time, they take care of the property, they give you proper notice when they move out, they turn the property back over to you into a great condition, ready to rent to another tenant. They report all maintenance items to you in a timely manner so that you can get them repaired. So the first time this comes about is usually when the tenant calls you or the applicant calls you, prospect, whatever you want to call them, calls you. They're going to ask you questions about the property and the lease process, and you're probably going to want to start pre-screening them there, asking them questions like, how did you find out about us? When do you want to move in? How long do you want to rent for? What's your credit like? How many pets do you have? Are you a smoker? Is anybody else in your family a smoker? How many adults are going to be living at the property? It's a good time to remind the person right then that all adults are going to have to apply and all adults are going to have to pass the screening process and also sign the lease, regardless of whether they're going to pay the rent. You want to do this because you have more recourse if something goes wrong. If you have more signers on that lease, you have more people to chase after for your money or for your damages or anything like that. Heaven forbid if tenant should go south on you. Some of the other questions you could ask them is, how long they've been employed, if they're coming here for a job transfer or if they're taking on new employment. At this time too, you might want to refer them to a written copy or get an email address, send them a written copy of your application guidelines. It's always good to have this down in writing for your application, exactly what's required from the tenant and what you're going to do to screen the tenant. And also, obviously, a written application is good. We use an online application, but you want to take the application from the tenant. It needs all the information that you're going to need to process that application. So you're going to need the tenant's full names, social security numbers, previous addresses, landlord contact information, employer contact information, number of people that will be living at the property. If there are minors that are going to be living there too, just the basic number of children and ages of the children, so that you'll have that in the names too, so you'll have that for emergency reference once they sign a lease and move in. We run our screening through an online site called mysmartmove.com. Now there's plenty of other sites that you can choose to do that. We like MySmartMove because it's run by one of the 3 big credit bureaus, and it provides really good online secure information versus things that you would be faxing back and forth, or copies of credit reports that you might have in your possession that now you would have to take care of based on the fair credit laws and the fair housing laws. So you want to make sure you understand fair credit laws and how they apply to handling credit reports and discussing credit reports. There are definite do's and don'ts that you have to abide by on that. Fair housing laws are more on the discrimination side, so that's again why you want to have your application guidelines in writing, so that you're presenting the same thing to everybody and requiring the same thing from everybody, so there's not even the slightest perception that you might be discriminating the application process. You want to check, the Smart Move is going to pull you a credit score, give you a credit history that you can review online. It's going to pull an eviction background check. If there's been any evictions filed that they can find, it'll pull that up. It does a 50-state criminal background check. It does a terrorist watch list, a most wanted watch list, and a sex offender list. That's basically what the mysmartmove.com does. And then on the back side of that, we contact the employer to verify their employment. We ask the tenant or the applicant to provide either copies of pay stubs, W-2s, could be bank statements that show enough money to pay the rent if they're retired. There's just several different methods of collecting or information about the money that they're going to use to pay the rent. You can determine what your own guidelines are going to be for there. Definitely want to contact their past landlords, get a rental history from the landlord, find out how long they lived there, what they paid for rent, if they were ever late on their rent, did they give proper notice to move out, did they leave the property in good condition, did they leave owing any balances, did you have to file an eviction for them, Did they have any complaints from neighbors, any HOA violations, pet violations, smoking violations? As much as you can get from that landlord, they're a really good source to find out information about this tenant. Once you get all that in, you can make a decision based on your guidelines of whether or not this tenant is acceptable and move forward with the lease. So we hope this quick set of tips has been helpful for you. If you've got any questions related to this, please just send us an email or give us a call. You'll see our information flash on the screen here. And again, thanks for watching. This is Derek Harper with the Key Locations team.